Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Blame It on Marketing. We have a lovely, lovely marketing team from MEDDICC, the sales framework. I hope I'm calling it a right thing. The sales framework with us. We just recorded an episode on their podcast, Marketing Unlocked, and this is the part two. So I will throw it over to Jessica and Gina to introduce themselves.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having us, even though I've just been talking to you for the past 45 minutes, but here I am again. So I'm Jess. I'm Chief Media Officer at MEDDICC. I've been there for just over 2 years. We are a bootstrap startup. My background is marketing through and through. Even though I never, ever, ever wanted to be in marketing when I was growing up, because I thought naively, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, that marketing was just about spending money and ordering pens and water bottles and going to trade shows. So yeah, I never wanted to get into marketing, but I'm glad I did it. So yeah, that is me, and I'll pass you over to my amazing other half, Gina.
It's the nicest thing you've ever said. Hello, I'm Gina. I am head of media at MEDDICC Media, and I have a history in TV production. So started on a few of the larger live shows, moved into digital production, and then now here at MEDDICC.
Wonderful. So, the reason why we wanted to do this episode is because we were very fascinated by both of your job titles. So, Jessica, we connected on LinkedIn and you were like, love the name of the podcast. And then we're like, okay, let's do one and then let's do two. But we kind of really zoned in on the fact that you're a chief media officer, and Gina, you've got a similar title. So, can you talk to us about that? Because that is not something that either of us have come across or knew that exists, especially in startups.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of it either, and I was kind of reluctant originally when my manager mentioned the media route, because I was like, oh my god, does this mean that I can't ever get like a CMO position as a marketer because I've got media? And I was like, do you know what? No, I'm happy with this. I believe in it. And essentially, very early on at MEDDICC, we decided that we wanted to build a media empire with our business as well, and we kind of at that point decided, and I don't know if this will offend marketers or not, and I hope it doesn't, because I am team marketing. But we kind of decided that media is everything, especially in our business. Media is a core part of our strategy. Everything we do is media focused. And we kind of split marketing into two routes. It was either brand, which is obviously long term, or marketing, which we classed as short term. And brand and marketing both rolled up into media. And what we're trying to do alongside MEDDICC is really double down on this media network as a business. So it just made sense for us that rather than me being chief marketing officer, that it moved to a media route. And with that, obviously, you have me in my role with the marketing background, and Gina, obviously, like I said, the best counterpart in terms of production and media. Gina, I don't know your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think similarly, I coming from a TV and digital background, I never thought that my role would be useful or needed in the type of business that MEDDICC is. So it was a real pleasant surprise to find that my exact skills could be utilised to help grow the media arm of MEDDICC. So it was really exciting when I first spoke to Jessica about it, and just every time we talk as well, it's where we can go from a media and marketing perspective. It's all encompassing. We don't see it as separate anymore at all. It's all rolled in together, and we all have that one main aim together as a team.
It's a super cool way of looking at things, and I'm really interested as well as to what was driving that kind of like media first approach for MEDDICC. Why did they decide to go down that route? Why did they want to build that media empire on top of what you guys already do?
Yeah, there's two reasons, and the first reason is MEDDICC has been a framework since 1996, so it's always existed for as long as pretty much most of our team have been born, and it was a case of we were new to market. Andy, our CEO, wrote the book on MEDDICC in 2019, and he founded MEDDICC in 2020. And we needed to quickly become like the authority on the topic. There's quite a few people that talk about MEDDICC, which we think is great. The more the merrier talking about MEDDICC. We see it as an ecosystem, not as like a zero-sum game. And but for us to become the leading authority and basically come out of nowhere, we really needed to double down on being this leading authority with content, demand gen, media, events, to really build up our profile. So that was one of the reasons we doubled down on media. And especially with us being a bootstrap startup as well, we were customer funded. I didn't have tons of budget. I came from a private company where we had millions in the marketing budget, to come in here where it was very much, there isn't a budget, we just have to make it work. So media made sense from that point of view as well, because we didn't have money to spend on a lot of paid ads and things like that, especially when I first started. And then the second reason was kind of a selfish reason, actually, that what we found is most SaaS businesses that have like a higher valuation usually have like a media arm as well. So from a selfish perspective, down the line and in the future, we really wanted to grow that valuation by having this media entity as well.
Does it ever feel like, because with obviously with media that covers a lot of different formats, and you're both from kind of like opposing worlds in a way as marketing and media folk, does it ever feel like that? I wanted to bring in a dog analogy so badly because of the sausage dogs that Jess has got. So does it ever feel like the tail wagging the dog, and that do you ever feel like you're doing media stuff for the sake of it, or do you feel like it's always been very purpose driven?
Gina, do you want to take that one on?
Yeah, so in a lot of companies and ones that I've worked in previously, it's quite a drag to try and pull out content, constantly trying, you never have enough of it, basically. But for MEDDICC, it's a kind of place I've never worked before, where there is just so much content that it's almost actually a balance between Jessie and I of being, what do we do first, and how do we make sure that it all aligns up to what we want to convey and the messaging that we want to be focusing on. So it's less of the tail wagging the dog, but more of just trying to piece together what we do first. And sometimes it can be an interesting conversation of us being like, what about this? What about that? What about this? And we have to bring ourselves back to square one and say, right, well, let's work backwards from this. What's the end goal? And then what content do we want to utilize for that? And obviously having a team around us means that we are quite agile in being able to quickly switch if we want to change the content slightly. So I can see why it would be like that, but for MEDDICC, I don't find that. I don't know about you, Jessie.
I think from my perspective, like, we have three core pillars of our business. We're a media business, a SaaS business, and an enablement business. And I don't know about you, I probably should have mentioned this in the previous podcast we just recorded about LinkedIn gurus, but I am not a fan of gated content. Like, I can't stand it. I've never wanted to get somebody's details by stealing them with some crappy download. Like, that's just not me. So we really try and do value first. And because we're enablement, a lot of what we're talking about is actually showing people how to do things correctly. So our content serves this purpose of guiding people to do things correctly as well. But also we want to share that we have so much value that even when you're a customer, there's like triple the value than what you're seeing online.
Yeah, I feel like the common conversation to have when you're talking about ungating content is like, well, why are we just giving it all away? Like, what, why would they come back to us if we're just giving it all away? And it's like, for me, I'm on the like cynical side of things, and I'm like, do you know how hard it is to get someone to consume a piece of your content and actually consume it and to take action or to take away something from it? Okay, why don't we put barriers to that additional thing in place to make it even harder? But also, totally been a lead gen gal. We've done it, right, Emma? Like back in the day. But yeah, agreed. It's still a conversation that's happening though, right? It's not gone away. It's not disappeared.
Yeah, and I think it has its place, but for us it doesn't. And it's kind of like, we have so much value to give. I truly believe that. And there is no way, I don't know what your perspective is on this, but there's no way I could work for a company if I didn't believe in what we did, because I just feel like you can't convey that message in marketing if you don't believe in the product. And if I didn't think we had enough value, like, I don't know, I just believe in what we do so much, to the point of I'm not scared to give away value, because we we can provide more if you're a customer. And I think if you're worried, oh, why are we giving this away to someone for free? It's like, is that all you've got in the can? Like, is that all you? Surely there's more to the business than the free download that you're giving out as gated.
It speaks to your audience as well, isn't it? Like, you guys have clearly got a really good understanding of your audience, and I guess that also plays into why it's media first, because it's the type of people that you're kind of selling to and who you want to support. You can't sell shit like you would to any other people, to salespeople, marketers. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You've got to up the game, so you've got to offer them value first. And so that's, I see your kind of decision as media first as being that like ultimate sign that you understood the assignment, guys. You're like, these are who our audience this is who our audience is, this is what they want, and they need to be able to access it and, like you say, get value from it quickly. Otherwise they're just going to move on, because it's the horrible type of people that we all are, right?
The other reason as well, selfishly, we are building the business from scratch. Like 2 years ago, there was 4 of us. Fast forward to now, there's over 35 of us, and we've just turned into an ARR model. Thank you, Slinky. Myself and Gina have just taken on B2C as well, so it's really exciting. And I think we like doing media because actually we also like to talk about what we're doing. So our CEO, Andy White, he's got his own YouTube channel that the media team work on behind the scenes, talking about like BTS and that sort of stuff. And I think selfishly, it really helps that we actually just really enjoy sharing. I don't want to say storytelling, but we actually enjoy sharing how we're building the business as well.
P.S. If you're confused about the storytelling comment, Jess asked us what words really trigger us, and I kind of went off on one on storytelling. So go watch the other episode if you want to see that happen. So in terms of, obviously, the marketing and the media totally complement each other, and Gina, you kind of alluded to a point where like you have to decide on what you want to prioritize. So if you are a marketer that's listening to this, and Jess and Gina, if you can put yourself in their shoes, how would you say you kind of start striking that balance, or maybe moving more towards into the media, but while still being able to do the kind of traditional normal marketing stuff and kind of have the best of both worlds?
So I think Jessie and I have regular meetups where we can sit down together. We're able to do that because we're in close proximity, and really hash out what we want to focus on. And Jessie will bring in elements from her previous experience and roles, for example, campaign packs that we've recently been working on, so we can take the campaign fully from conception to delivery with all of the elements that need to be within there. So all of the media elements and all of the marketing requirements as well. We utilize the tool Asana to be able to keep track of everything. So that whole campaign will have a Asana board, potentially maybe 3 or 4 boards that are attached to it as well, because I'm a bit of a geek like that. And they will take us, basically you can see the story the whole way through from start to finish. So it starts as an original idea, but this is our main focus. Jessie leads on that as CMO. She is the key to guiding us on what needs to take priority. It's a lot of priority balancing. So yeah, that's kind of our main thing, of being able to be together either in a room or on a call together, just to really focus, like, this is what we're going to be leading on. How do we do this? What's the process that we need to put into place? And I suppose that's when my experience of production, putting process into place, is one of my keys. So together, that's how we blend each other's experience to get the end result.
Yeah, and I think what I'd add to that is, like, we run our team, and everybody knows this as well. So everybody in the company is aligned with us on this. But we run our team as like an internal agency. I think that's fair to say, Gina, that's pretty much what we are. Our main client is MEDDICC, and then we have a couple of partners that we work with that we help with their podcasts as part of like the MEDDICC Media Network. But our main core client is MEDDICC, and we don't try and shoehorn media into anything. It's just media is this ever present thing. So we still support. Again, sorry, you need to watch the first podcast to get where I'm going with this. But we support the sales team, you know, with documents, buyer guides, decision criteria, that sort of stuff. Then we, you know, but we also look at the website, we also look at ads. So it's the media is this ever-present thing that we're not trying to shoehorn in. It's just like a media first focus. So I don't know, it just works really well. The majority of our team are, I would say, media based, if you'd agree with that, Gina. So we have videographers, production managers, graphic designers, media strategists, copywriters. We don't yet have a marketing manager, and I'm very excited for the day that we do get a marketing manager.
Yeah,
But
we're a fully functioning production company, I think is how we can sell ourselves, I suppose, as identify as.
Yeah, that's so cool. And also, I think Ruta and I are probably very jealously listening, going, "Oh, I wish I had all those people on some of the marketing teams we work with." Not because we don't love the other, not because we don't love the other marketers, but I think because there is obviously a huge shift. It doesn't really even need to be said around the fact that media and video and audio, all of those sorts of things just are ever present in everything that we need to do marketing wise, aren't they? So it's kind of like to be able to have access to a team, like a production team who can actually do this stuff seamlessly, because it's like the world you've all come from is like, for us, we're like, oh, that would be so nice. We'll add a production team is on the wish list. So if you're listening to this and you are sort of, maybe you're in our camp where you kind of are, you know, I guess if you want to say marketing first, if you want to call it that, but you've got a small marketing team, so you haven't necessarily got that production ability within, or resource within your company. Yeah, what should you think about? What are some of the things that you would suggest that businesses can incorporate, so that, you know, like if you haven't got the team, what could you do to add more media into your mix?
yeah, I think it's a really good question. And like when we first started, like there was only me in the marketing media team, so it was kind of like trying to do a little bit of everything. And I think you have to play to the strengths you've got. And I think most people see media as just a podcast or just a newsletter, and it can be so much more than that. We see media as basically a lens in terms of what we're doing, in a strategy as well. So I think digital first has always been a thing, and I still think it will always be a thing as well. But there are things that you could probably outsource. We use Upwork quite often. I know some people stay away from Fiverr and Upwork, but we do use that because sometimes we don't have the skills in-house to do these things ourselves. So I think if you don't have the skills, obviously look to what you can outsource, but you know, at a budget that works for you. But I think the main thing is looking at what you currently do and just applying that digital lens to it and applying that media lens to it. So there might be things you already do. I don't know, documents, for instance. You might provide the sales team with a document. It's like, well, the biggest thing that we try and think about is how can we syndicate that content out? So it's not just a document. It's like, it's now a TikTok, it's now a blog, it's now an email newsletter. And that's like our sort of media lens. Is this like, I don't know, I'm going wildly off topic now, but one of the things that I think is our biggest success is we've developed this like media engine where you can almost drop a piece of content in it, and it's like this little vacuum. It's Gina working behind the scenes with this little vacuum, and all of a sudden this one piece of content is now like 20 pieces of content, and they've all got this like digital lens applied to them in terms of the different audiences. And I think people, it's that classic thing, people can do more with less. You don't need fancy tools, you don't need to hire 10 people, you just need to think about what you're already doing and how can I make better use of it. I don't know if that answers your question or if I've just gone totally wildly off topic.
Absolutely does. I think Ruta and I think that's the kind of, I mean, when it comes to marketing from our side, I think that's how we would say we execute on stuff, right? We've always worked on very lean teams with like relatively tight budgets. So you create one piece of content and you create, you know, 100 other bits off the back of it. But yeah, I would never have framed it, I suppose, before speaking to you guys, that some of the stuff we were doing had that kind of like media aspect to it. I would have always thought, yeah, digital first or content production, not necessarily thought about it with a media lens, which is now a very helpful extra thing.
Yeah, we call it distribution or promo, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you make the piece of content and then it's the distribution and promo side of things that I guess falls into the, well, as much media as the content production thing. It's all the same. It makes sense that why you're umbrellaing it under media and then you have the two different things, that
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
completely clicked.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, the thing I see on LinkedIn a lot is people talking about owned media, which is a thing. And I think it's a big thing that people are doing. And I love that people are doing it. But for us, it's like, it's not just owned media. It's not just a podcast. It's not just a network. We truly do see media as this umbrella, and everything that we do as a business falls under that. And, you know, like, as I said, we are an enablement business as well. So a lot of our products are, you know, 5 hours worth of training videos. And that's where this media strategy comes in, that it's like, okay, we're not just going to sit behind a desk and have Andy in some horrible suit with like tacky blinds behind him. We're going to like think about, how can we add like scenarios into this? How can we add like different, you know, music and sound effects? And how can we, it's almost like thinking, how can we do like a YouTube video and make it really entertaining to constantly get people's attention back into what we're doing? And I think that's why we as a business have to be media first, because that is how we differentiate from some of our competition. Our competition, I can't say the term that we would normally say about our competition on this call, but we do say it's quite like pale and stale, whereas we try
know
to
where
be the
you're
complete
going.
opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of Emma's favorite terms.
I think one of the tips, just to go back to the question you just asked, in terms of one of the tips from a production perspective of how would you approach that and how would you start, is one of the key things for us was bringing out a freelancer list, so you haven't just got one person to depend on, and you're not scrambling around trying to find that graphic designer to help you on Upwork or Fiverr, which we know is just like filled with so many people, so many responses. So I definitely think a key tip is building up that freelancer shortlist, that people you can work with regularly. So if one person is available, you've got somebody else there ready who understands your business, not as well as you do, but they work well with you feedback wise, and again, you can just be way more agile, a lot quicker in delivering whatever brief that you need to deliver for that content. So that would be one of our main tips, is what we're working on at the moment, is really building out that freelancer list.
And I'd say as well, like, I'm just going on random tangents now, but like, what I love about working with Gina is because it's not just a marketer and marketer talking to each other who might have had similar experiences. We've got completely different experiences, and even like down to, we were talking about roles the other day, like creative officer and production manager and all this sort of stuff. In our worlds, they both mean something completely different. So it's like we're creating the best of both worlds by bringing those two things together. So I definitely think it's a really nice balance between production, media, and marketing.
That I have to say, like, we have someone, Liam, who edits our videos into these ridiculously dramatic kind of like promo videos, and the reason Liam is so good at it is because he's an actor, and he comes from an acting and kind of like that background. And I think if he didn't have that, if he hadn't come from that world, I don't think he would be able to find the drama and edit the videos together in the same way. And so I can see that he's already got that. Should we give him an honorary title of Chief Media Officer of Biome? Rita?
Yes, I love it. Let's do it.
But yeah, I think I think I love that. I think it's really good because, like you say, otherwise sometimes you are operating in a bit of a vacuum, aren't you? I was going to say, does that bode well for your relationship? Do you ever find yourself completely at odds where you're like, why are they not getting it? Because I'm from this world and they're from the other world.
And do you know what? Like, I genuinely mean this. I don't think we've ever had a disagreement. The only time we have had a disagreement was probably this week for the first time ever, and Gina knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's fresh.
It's very fresh. It's very raw. It's gonna get me emotional. It was late at night. We've just launched 4 things on Monday, actually, that we had 19 days to prepare. So like we were very tired, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And this is where I love the difference in what we do. Like, Gina is very methodical when it comes to storing things from like an asset management point of view, whereas I'm just like, I just want you to tell me where it is. and I couldn't find something. And she was sending me screenshots. She was like, it's just there. This is all you need to do. Just click on here. It's not that difficult. And I think that's probably the only time we've ever had a disagreement, because I don't know, your experience has led you to like have this really methodical way of storing things for editors to access and pick up these raw files. Whereas I'm like, I don't even care about that. I just want the
Slack
file.
it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she went in for the jugular with the Google Drive's a mess. I was like,
Not
I was
the
like, on the
filing
screenshot,
system.
yeah. I was like, I think you'll find there's only 2 folders. I don't know what the problem is. But she knew that I was touchy. I knew that she needed it. So we got there in the end. We solved it. And now we actually find it really funny that it's probably the one time that we've actually clashed. And it wasn't even a big clash. It was like a faux, how dare you insult my,
Yeah.
my
It's
filing.
basically like I called her baby a mess.
Yeah.
We're always talking about metrics here because that's who we are as marketers. And we would be curious to ask you guys, what kind of metrics do you measure? And more importantly, how do they end up affecting what you're then doing in terms of your media marketing and production strategy?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. I don't know about you, but I feel like marketers can get lost in metrics. Like there's so many different metrics we could look at, and some we pay light attention to more than others. Some are just more indicators. We've put a massive focus on YouTube at the moment, so we actually generate a bit of revenue now from YouTube. So it's all about maximizing, like, I don't know, the SEO on that and the clicks and the comments and all that sort of stuff. So YouTube is like a big indicator for us. But I'd say, and I'm probably going to be really boring and disappointing by saying this, but like our core metric is revenue. And everything we do has to lead back to revenue. And MEDDICC itself is actually, I'd probably say, a 95% inbound business. So there's probably only about 5% of the rev team that go out and do PG activities. The majority is inbound, and we've managed to attribute all of that back to media. So the biggest thing for us is, like, obviously, the typical stuff like website traffic, how many submissions on the forms are we getting, like how many people are searching from us from an organic point of view versus paid media point of view. But it's very much just looking at all of our touch points and figuring out what the conversion is to these leads. But yeah, we are heavily focused on driving revenue as a business, and from a media perspective as well, which is why I think we've got the buy-in from the whole company at MEDDICC, because we are so focused on that rather than the vanity metrics of, oh my god, 4 people downloaded our podcast today. That's great, but that's not obviously the end goal for us. Gina, I guess from your perspective as well, like there's a lot more that you track from an internal agency point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a big focus, especially on Q1, on data. So making sure that we have data to back ourselves up. I need to make sure that we've got enough resources for the content that we've got coming through. Obviously, as Jessie said, that we are an internal agency first, so we need to make sure that we're delivering on all deadlines. Any content that comes from the business, any department, CS team, revenue team, that we are jumping on it and getting it delivered to the best quality we can. So yeah, there's a lot of internal data and metrics that I have to track to make sure that we are fulfilling the role as an internal agency, and with a little touch of external partnerships as well.
You made us smile. We were like, yes, these are the answers we want when we talk about metrics.
I'm glad. I didn't want you to be disappointed with our answer, that we weren't like 10 metrics you need to know right now.
It's like, oh yeah, we don't really worry about that. We just make nice videos, it's fine.
Yeah, no, that is literally what we think, isn't it? We just make nice videos, don't care.
If
we
it
just
looks pretty, we're good.
we just pretty
It'll do
documents
its thing.
up.
So, well, thank you, Gina and Jess. It's been awesome. I think Ruta and I have learned a lot from both of you. If you want to listen to part 1 of the podcast, we'll also make sure we link through to that. And then, come over to Biome. If you'd both like to join us on BlameItOnMarketing.com, we can carry on the media versus marketing debate. Please do. And we'll see you next time. So thank you so much for joining us.